So hello everyone, welcome back. And today we have with us Henna Handa, जिन्होंने 5 साल बैंक में जॉब किया एंड उसके बाद 5 years to 6 years वर्क करने के बाद उन्होंने 1 year MBA प्रोग्राम किया फ्रॉम XLRI जमशेदपुर. सो उसी के बारे में आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे. प्लीज हिना टेल अस अबाउट कि लाइक आपका जॉब एक्सपीरियंस या फिर बैंक एक्सपीरियंस कैसा था एंड प्लीज टेल अस मोर अबाउट 1 year MBA प्रोग्राम की ज्यादा इंटेंस होता है 2 years से, इज इट equivalent to 2 year program? Please tell us, Hina, how did you do it?
Sure. So, hi Harshit, thanks for this. Thanks for inviting me. My professional journey in the finance sector, it actually started with a public sector bank. मैंने PO, IBPS PO का form भरा था, clear हो गया. I happened to join a public sector bank as a probationary officer. And in these 6 years that I spent with the bank, मुझे बैंक के हर सेक्शन में काम करने का मौका मिला. ब्रांच से लेके जोनल ऑफिसेज, कंट्रोलिंग ऑफिसेज, हर जगह मैंने काम किया. बट ग्रोथ वुड कम व्हेन इट वाज डेस्टिन्ड टू कम. जब आप एक नेक्स्ट लेवल, नेक्स्ट प्रमोशन के लिए एलिजिबल होते, तब आपके साथ सब प्रमोट हो जाते. एक पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक गिव यू अ लॉट ऑफ स्टेबिलिटी, रेपुटेशन देते हैं, सब कुछ देते हैं. बट इफ यू want to lead and travel faster and just be there, do that, उसके लिए मौका मिलना कभी कभी मुश्किल हो जाता है, कभी कभी मिल भी जाता है. And then having had taken the taste of public sector, I wanted to switch to the private sector, have a pie of have a taste of the pie there as well. वो एक शिफ्ट के लिए MBA I think बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी था. It wouldn't have been easy had I not gotten into an MBA program with a prestigious institute like XLRI. And very luckily, I had a lot of support at home also. When you work for an organization for 5 to 6 years and then you're settled, you have a good life in a small town, it becomes risky to take such a decision at that point in time. उसके लिए मेरी फैमिली का सपोर्ट बहुत ज्यादा रहा, which is why I could go ahead and leave that job, get into study mode again and be there.
So like जब आपका इतना स्टेबल जॉब था एंड आपका एक ग्रोथ माइंडसेट बन चुका था, लेकिन फिर भी मतलब एक आदमी रहता है ना कि एक कंफर्ट जोन आ जाता है 5 to 6 years में, तो आपने वो कंफर्ट जोन को कैसे एस्केप किया? आई मीन टू से कि अगर मैं कोई जॉब 5 years के लिए करूं या फिर 6 years के करूं एंड आई हैव अ गुड इनकम पब्लिक सेक्टर में, तो आई वुडंट think about doing an MBA and stepping out of my comfort zone when everything is set. So like आपका वो ग्रोथ पर्सपेक्टिव के कारण आपने वो कंफर्ट जोन को आप स्टेप आउट कर सके, या फिर आपका कुछ और उस टाइम पे माइंडसेट चल रहा था, तो उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा बताएंगे क्या?
So Harshit, it is a very tricky decision from a risk and return perspective. There's a lot of risk also involved. मैं अपनी स्टेबल लाइफ छोड़ के एक नेक्स्ट स्टेप में जा रही हूँ. अगर मुझे वहां कुछ नहीं मिला, देन आई लैंड अप नोवेयर. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू रिटर्न, अगर मैंने सक्सेसफुली अपना कोर्स किया, आई गेट प्लेस्ड विद अ गुड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पोस्ट दैट, देन ऑब्वियसली स्काई बिकम्स द लिमिट. तो to balance both of these out, risk को balance करने के लिए ये था that I had a very good support from my husband. I was 2 years into marriage then, and he was the one who nudged me that you have potential, you can do better in the private sector, you should go ahead. And returns, obviously, when you're doing your course, your MBA from a good college, you know that you're out there in the market, and people will realize your potential and pick you up. So that's how I was able to take the decision.
Okay. So जब आप पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक में जब आप काम कर रहे थे, तो वहां का ग्रोथ पर्सपेक्टिव कैसा था? Was growth on a faster pace or on a medium pace? मतलब कैसे आप वहां के ग्रोथ को आप डिफाइन कर सकते हैं?
I'd say medium pace, and I'd say that you would be promoted to a certain level only when you become eligible. When you become eligible, all the others along who are at your level also become eligible, and mostly they also get promoted. Okay. So now I have the taste of both the cultures. I can very easily say that in the private sector, not trying to be controversial here, but in the private sector, there's a lot of competitiveness, which is lacking in the public sector. Public sector may it sometimes things come to you on a silver platter. They go to everyone. मतलब आप अगर ए लेवल पे हो और आपके साथ वाला बी लेवल पे है, तो वो डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर कम ही रहता है. बट यहाँ पे ए में भी ए प्लस ए माइनस है प्राइवेट सेक्टर में.
So like public sector is like कि मैं तो आराम से बैठूंगा and come please serve me. But in private sector it's like
मतलब
करना पड़ रहा है हम लोग को कि नहीं ये मेरा हक का है. So is it something like that?
not generalizing it entirely for the public sector, but yes, यहाँ पे I have this thing that I have to prove myself at each point in time. I have to keep working. I have to, prove my mettle. And then when I get some return, when I get some extra return for that, so that gives a lot of motivation कि हाँ, मैं अगर अच्छा काम कर रही हूँ, it is getting adequately recognized and it is differentiating me apart as well from the others. But that was something that I felt was a bit lacking over there. Not to say that public sector may, in that bank, it gives you a lot of stable mindset. You can, easily plan to stay in a town, build your house there, have a family. If you're not a kind of person जिसको बाहर जाना है, नई चीजें experience करनी है, नए लोगों से मिलना है, then you're better off there maybe. It's about your own preferences also after all. That's the thing.
Okay, so like environment कैसा रहता है both public sector and private sector जो आपके around जो environment बनता है when you work there, is it like बहुत ज़्यादा सबके सब एक motivated है कि नहीं हमको इस चीज में बहुत बेहतर करना है या फिर इस चीज में हमको improve करना है, or is it something like chill kind of environment? So what is it like?
I think individually, though, your individual personality is something that drives how you work, what you work on, your own personal levels of motivation. वो तो एक factor रहता ही है, चाहे आप कहीं भी रहो, in a public sector organization or in the private sector. But then यहाँ पे private sector में the culture is extremely target driven, growth oriented. Not to say that public sector में ऐसा नहीं होता, but then they have a lot of mandates, belonging from the public sector. They have a lot of mandates to run, so to say, government driven programs, and what do I call it? They have to work within certain boundaries. Innovation यहाँ पे ज़्यादा है. You're allowed to try out new things in private sector. That's one of the differences.
In private sector innovation ज़्यादा होता है.
That's what I have felt.
So no, बीच में क्योंकि मैं confused हो गया, like were you talking about private sector or the public sector when you came to the innovation point? So इसलिए I asked it out. And
हाँ, मतलब over here, for example, I've seen that there's so many new projects and you can get involved in them, and you can get the horses of your mind running. वो चीज public sector में innovation के terms में कम होती है, but what I felt is to finish the work you've got to get the horses of your mind running. So,
okay,
execution is given more importance there.
Okay. So like आपका जो MBA program था, like you did your job and you went to study MBA. क्या माहौल था वो? मतलब 1 year program और 2 year program में like basic differences वगैरह क्या है? Is it the same or they are different?
See, my program, I'll just give you an idea. My program was called PGDM in GMP, General Management Program. We had very jokingly renamed it as DMP, Deadline Management Program. So that kind of indicates one of the major differences between a 1 year and a 2 year program. It's basically that, most of the topics that are covered in a 2 year program are crunched into a lesser timeline in a 1 year program. But my general sense is that, in a 2 year program, you get to, delve deep into the subjects of your choice, the electives, as they say. General management program जो 1 year program है उसमें भी after completing the first 3 terms of core courses we were given the option to choose electives which we chose, but that's one thing that I've always felt that probably because I don't have that experience of a 2 year program, that's what I felt, that in a 2 year program probably you're given more in-depth knowledge of certain subjects, especially the electives that you choose.
So if I say it in this way कि like अगर आप 2 year program कर रहे तो you have more time to explore or more opportunities to explore other fields as compared to 1 year program. So should I quote it like this?
See, in the 2 year program, when you're going there as a fresher or maybe only after 2 or 3 years of experience, you still have that opportunity in life where you can change your field. If you're coming from a finance background, if you happen to like marketing in the initial first year, I think it's easier to make that shift and thereafter get placed in that new field. But when you've already spent 5 or 6 years of your career in a particular field, it kind of becomes difficult to make that shift. So when you're approaching a 1 year program, you already know कि आगे मुझे करना क्या है. If I'm coming from finance, I probably know that okay, finance में मुझे ये अब और expertise चाहिए, and I'm using this platform to maybe get into a better company, better roles. That is, I believe, one big difference.
Okay, so basically I can say it like that कि 2 year program में आपके पास मतलब options रहते हैं कि हाँ मैं इसमें से choose कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन 1 year program में मतलब you have to be कि सोच के आना चाहिए घर से कि नहीं मेरे को इसी फील्ड में स्पेशलाइजेशन करना है तो आई एम टेकिंग 1 year program.
Generally लोग सोच के ही आते हैं for that matter.
Okay.
Because these programs always they have the threshold of having professionals with minimum 5 years of experience. So in 5 years, if you've spent working around, you know what you want.
So from your perspective, which one is better, 1 year program or 2 year program?
Completely depends on an individual. And where I was placed, I had spent 6 years in my professional life. So definitely this 1 year program was much more suitable for me.
Okay. So and one more thing कि like जब आपका MBA ऑलमोस्ट खत्म हो गया एंड यू नो प्लेसमेंट्स वगैरह होने लगे, तब उस टाइम पे आपके माइंड में कुछ चल रहा था कि लाइक दिस इज द वन पर्टिकुलर कंपनी आई वांट टू गो इन, या फिर दिस विल बी माय लाइफ आफ्टर दिस आफ्टर कंप्लीटिंग माय MBA? तो उस टाइम पे कुछ चल रहा था क्या दिमाग में?
So again, Harshit, I mean, of course, every one of us have our own personal choices. मुझे ये था कि coming from a banking background, I obviously wanted to continue in finance, but especially banking and finance. So I was looking for banks that would come in for placements, and the first company that I sat for, it selected me, and there I was. मतलब, I wasn't very picky or choosy, but yes, given a first preference, I would have loved to work for a bank. And in that too, I was working mostly in my previous experience, I was mostly working in the retail side. तो अब मुझे wholesale में switch करना था again to get the taste of the other pie. तो वो भी मिल गया. I was pretty much comfortable and happy with what I got.
Okay, so how would you describe your MBA life? Was it kind of hectic or enjoyable? What was it like?
Very hectic, very hectic. Again, 1 or 2 year के बीच शायद एक बहुत बड़ा difference ये भी होता है. You have little bit of more time to chill out when you're doing your 2-year MBA. So, so this I'm talking about, after having seen the 2-year guys, girls in the same campus as ours, we had, as I told you, we had named our program as Deadline Management Program rather than General Management Program, because it was always, we were always running after completing our assignments, attending the classes, and then एक एग्जाम खत्म हो जाता था, अगले महीने बाद दूसरे टर्म का एग्जाम है. So it was very, very hectic. We had a lot of, co-curricular activities, things happening in the campus. कभी फेस्ट हो रहा है, कभी रीजनल डिनर हो रहा है, कभी स्पोर्ट्स मीट हो रही है. So obviously we observed that 2-year guys girls का participant उसमें ज्यादा होता था. We always made sure that we were there. I was personally always into my books. I was very, very, very focused. I graduated with the XLRI gold medal for my batch as well. So हाइंडसाइट में अब थोड़ा लगता है कि यार थोड़ा और चिल मार सकती थी, एंजॉय कर सकती थी all the time that I was into books, but then that has also paid off in a way.
इसके बाद कैसा रहता है एमबीए, या फिर 1 year प्रोग्राम कैसा रहेगा हमारे लिए, विल इट बी सुटेबल फॉर मी और नॉट? तो आई गेस उन लोग को आंसर मिल गया है कि वेदर टू चूज बिटवीन 1 year प्रोग्राम और 2 year प्रोग्राम. सो होता है गाइस, थोड़ा 1 year प्रोग्राम थोड़ा सा हिक्टिक होता है, बट अगर आपको चिल वगैरह करना है ऑब्वियसली एज अ फ्रेशर, तो आप प्लीज 2 year प्रोग्राम में लिए. एंड अगर आपके पास वर्क एक्स है, जैसा कि 5 years वर्क एक्स है या फिर 5 year plus वर्क एक्स है, देन 1 year MBA program is a better choice for you. So thank you, Hina, for telling us all the information, and thank you for guiding us through the path.
Thanks for this opportunity, हर्षित. आपने मुझसे पब्लिक सेक्टर, प्राइवेट सेक्टर कर करके इतना निकलवा लिया है. I just hope I haven't been controversial at all. I have just been speaking from my personal perspective. But nice, great talking to you. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Hina, so much.